Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On the News Hour tonight, President Tinubu nominates Dr. Olayemi Michael as new CBN governor alongside 4 deputy governors of the central bank. Power outage looms as fire outbreak guts TCN office in Kebbi. Normalcy returns to Kaduna community after protests over dog meat scandal. And on the foreign scene, flooding death toll soars to 11,300 in Libya's coastal city of Danar. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin with the latest as President Tinubu has nominated Dr. Olayemi Michael Cardoso to serve as the new CBN governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a term of 5 years at the first instance pending his confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. Now, in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilali, the President also approved the nomination of 4 new deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a term of 5 years at the first instance pending their confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. The nominees include Nana Osoro, Mohammed Sani, Abdullahi Dattijo, Philip Ekeazo, and Dr. Bala M. Bello. The statement says the directive is in conformity with Section 8, Subsection 1 of the Central Bank Act of 2007, which vests in the President the authority to appoint this governor of the Central Bank and 4 deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria, subject to a confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. Now, the President's spokesperson said in line with President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, the President expects the nominees to successfully implement critical reforms at the Central Bank of Nigeria, which will enhance the confidence of Nigerians and international partners in the restructuring of the Nigerian economy towards sustainable growth and prosperity for all. Now, former President Muhammadu Buhari had reappointed Godwin Emefiele as the CBN governor for a second 5-year tenure back in 2019. President Tinubu suspended Emefiele in June this year and appointed Folashodun Shonobi as acting CBN governor. Now, let's unpack the story from the legal standpoint. Joining us via Zoom this evening is Barrister Okeo Emmanuel Oyugodo, principal partner at Godot Attorneys. Barrister, thank you most kindly for joining us on the news. I appreciate you for making the time. Now, let me just get your reading of the legal quagmire that this particular situation presents. The opinion on one hand is that the President has not flouted or breached any legal provisions. And on the other hand is that he, first of all, before he does nominate anybody else, has to get rid of the Emefiele situation through the Nigerian Senate. What is your interpretation of President Tinubu's actions?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, from the legal standpoint, the action of President Tinubu wholly in consonance with the provisions of the CBN Act, particularly Section 11. And if you read down to Section 11, subsection F of the CBN Act 2007, it talks about the cessation of office of the CBN governor. And if you agree with me that the former CBN governor, howbeit that it's been term suspension, if you look at it technically, that is cessation of office. Having explored Section 11 of the CBN Act, the President automatically has the power, as conferred on him by Section 8, to appoint a new CBN governor. So the act of President Tinubu is solely in consonance with the provisions of the CBN Act. So he acted in...
Right, okay. So what about putting the cart before the horse? Because that's how a lot of people read into this. First of all, he has to remove Emefiele before he nominates somebody else. Is that not the right thing to do? Because it does specify that he has the powers to do so, but he needs 2/3 of the Senate to do that, and that has not happened yet.
Well, If you read section 11, subsection 2, subsection F, which I talked about, the powers of the president to remove the CBN governor, as it were. And also that you're right, but that must be done in conformity with two-thirds majority of the Senate. In order not to be quoted, I don't know if that was done, but I want to presume that was done. But if that was not done, that means section 11, subsection 2, and paragraph F was not properly followed.
Right.
But if that, then I would say he's in conformity with the CBN Act. Means.
Yeah. For all we know, at the moment, the Nigerian Senate is still in recess. The Senate has not resumed plenary. So it's safe to say that that has not happened based on the fact that the Nigerian Senate is not or has not been sitting for the past couple of weeks since going on recess. And what legal challenges does this portend now for the administration that is trying to move on with this wholesale changes at the Central Bank of Nigeria? Do you see the potentiality of a legal action against what the president just did?
Obviously, I think that was, I will call that a lacuna on the part of not conforming to that section of get the support of the Senate before doing that. And obviously, that would call for plethora of litigations. And I hope he's able to say through that because he ought to have gotten two-thirds majority of the Senate before going ahead to suspend the former governor, and then before even going to appoint the current CBN governor who appointed today.
Right.
We are hoping before is yet to be confirmed yet. We are hoping before his confirmation on Friday, maybe the appropriate things will be done. Let's trust.
Right. We're just taking a look at a section of that CBN Act of 2007. And is there a chance to now say that until his nomination, I mean, this is just a nomination by the president, until he appears before the Senate, the president has not done anything wrong yet? Because the letter of nomination has not yet been sent to the Senate because, like I did say, the Senate is in recess. So is there a chance that at the moment there's no legal grounds to say that the president has crossed any lines yet until that nomination letter gets to the Senate?
Yes, going with Section 8 of the CBN Act, the president has not done anything wrong yet. Reasons being that this is just mere nomination, to which the Senate has powers to either confirm or to reject the nomination. So as it stands now, the president has not done anything wrong. Right. He's still with the view of the law. Okay.
It remains to be seen how the Nigerian Senate will react to this particular development. But we're going to have to leave the conversation here for now. Barrister Okeu Emmanuel Oyugodo, principal partner at Godo Attorneys, thank you very much for your insight and the expert analysis on this issue. Appreciate you for joining us on the News Hour. Right, let's move on to some of the day's other news now, and we head to Kebbi, where the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Birnin Kebbi, the state capital, has been gutted by fire. Now, the cause of the fire was unknown at the time of reporting, but residents of Mechanic Village in Birnin Kebbi Metropolis, where the TCN office is located, reported hearing a loud bang followed by a plume of smoke and fire from the facility. Now, this comes hours after a fire outbreak at the Kainji Jeba 330 kilovolt line triggered the collapse of the national grid, resulting in a nationwide blackout on Thursday. Right now, the police in Katsina has arrested a 35-year-old bandit informant and gun runner in possession of 104 live ammunition rounds. Now, the police also announced the arrest of one of the suspected masterminds behind the killing of the Dutse-Emma area commander, late ACP Aminu Umar. Abdullah Himadi has the details of the story.
Police Public Relations Officer ASP Sadiq Abubakar said the command succeeded in arresting one Ibrahim Abdullahi, a suspected arms smuggler and bandits informant and resident of Dumborawa village of Batare local government. Based on credible intelligence, the suspected gun runner was trailed and arrested at Rahamawa quarters in Katsina Metropolis. Upon search, 404 rounds of live ammunition were recovered in his custody.
In the course of interrogation, the suspect confessed to the commission of the offense and further stated that he received the said exhibit alongside one Uba alias Dan Kwandago of Kankara local government area from one Salisu at Wukari local government area of Taraba State, now at large. Our efforts are on with a view to arresting the fleeing suspect as investigation is ongoing.
The police said one Said Yaro, alias Sabonjini, who has been on the command's wanted list for series of offenses such as kidnapping, cattle rustling, and other heinous crimes, has also been arrested. The suspect was arrested in connection with the kidnapping of one Hussein Nabara of Kagara village in Dusumwa local government.
It was revealed that the suspect was under the command of one Abubakar Jankare, male, a suspected notorious bandit leader, and also conspired with one Usman Modi, Auta Nokia, and one Sule Malam Aibo, among others, now at large. Sometime in the year 2022, and ambushed the late area commander Dusamma, ACP Aminu Umar.
The command is also investigating one Samin Usman in connection with cases of kidnapping, as well as a 65-year-old Haruna Wanzam for sexually molesting a 4-year-old girl. Abdullahi Izuma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Troops of the Joint Task Force in northwest Nigeria of Operation Hadarin Daji have foiled 2 kidnap attempts and rescued 17 hostages while recovering a large number of Russell cows in the ongoing operation across Zamfara state. The Operation Information Officer, Captain Yahya Ibrahim, in a statement explained that the joint troops of Operation Hadarin Daji, while acting on a distress call, thwarted a kidnap attempt, rescuing 2 victims and the commercial vehicle carrying food items in Shinkafi local government area of the state. In a similar vein, ground troops deployed at Dengjiba while on a routine patrol intercepted and rescued 3 kidnapped victims in the area. According to him, a preliminary investigation revealed that the victims were abducted from their farmlands and held captive at Dangajeru Forest, where they successfully escaped due to the intensified clearance operation by troops within the area. Now, the troops also intercepted and rescued 8 kidnapped victims in Bangiga community. Normalcy has been restored to Nasarawa community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, where a cleric allegedly slaughtered a dog and shared the meat to his followers, causing an uproar in the Muslim community of the area. Now, youths in the area in protest reportedly attacked the cleric's residence and his school after he insisted that his actions are lawful and do not contradict the teachings of Islam. Trust TV's Bello Musa has the latest.
Tension was high in the area after the said cleric slaughtered a dog, which residents said it was against the teaching of Islam. According to some residents, the man fled the community after the incident. The community accused the said cleric of slaughtering the dog for naming ceremony, but a member of the sect, Ismail Abubakar Jana, denied this, saying eating dog meat is not prohibited by the Quran.
Abin da ya faru kwana 4 kenan da ya wuce, ni na yi tafiya bana wurin.
4 days ago, when I returned from a journey, our student informed me that a dog was slaughtered. I thought it was a joke, but after our lesson session, I entered the house. The meat of the dog was on fire. We are Muslims and we believe in Quran, but our mode of worship differs from other people. We are Nigerians and the Constitution gives right and freedom to believe in any religion of their choice. While confirming the incident, some of the residents said the dog meat was used to prepare soup which was shared among the students of the school. We were sitting when they came with 2 dogs and we saw when they slaughtered them. But then we didn't know their intentions until later after they have prepared it and called their members to eat the meat with bread. They ate the meat for 2 days. Although I didn't see the thing with my eyes, but was told that they eat the meat and even several social media platforms promoting it. An Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, said, eating of dog meat is un-Islamic and provocative.
There are 2 rulings, but the one that is common here, which is in Risala, is that eating dog is haram because of a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, naha an akli kulli dhinabin min as-siba' or min as-sub'. The Prophet ﷺ has forbidden the eating of all animals, prey animals that hunt, those that have canine teeth, which the dog has. In another madhab of Malik, at the same time, those who are in Iraq, it is makruh. Makruh yani is disliked.
Gumi urged the authorities not to play with such issues, considering the background of the scholar.
And secondly, Nigeria has experienced them when they started being militant and attacking the Ummah. And I think the authorities should not play with this difference. It's a very significant difference that should not be encouraged.
The Supreme Council for Sharia Kaduna chapter in statement said the mass actions were intended to challenge the Muslim Ummah and to go against the teaching of the Quran. The police public relations officer in the state, ASP Mansour Hassan, while confirming the incident, said the command arrested suspect in connection with breakdown of law and order at Nasarawa community after the incident.
We have received that members of Nasarawa community invaded the house of one Malam Abu Bakr Sani, who claimed that he slaughtered a dog during the naming ceremony of his child. And then the people of that community feel that it's a new thing to them, which they started taking action and taking laws into their hands. But we thank God we have arrested one of the suspects, and then we'll charge him to court upon completion of the investigation.
The police warned the residents from taking law into their hands.
Now, 11,113 school-going age children have reportedly been out of school in Niger State over the past 8 years. Now, the State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation in the state, Ahmed Suleiman Yumu, said this when the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, flagged off the distribution of relief materials and grinding machines to the internally displaced persons in Gwada IDP camp in Shiroro local government area of the state under the National Social Investment Program. The commissioner said banditry and kidnappings have disrupted farming activities across the state, adding that 27,774 farmers have been displaced across the state, while 7,650 women, 3,201 men were displaced, and 11,113 children have been out of school in the last 8 years, with 108 people with special needs. He said displacement of farmers was alarming, saying it has put a lot of burden on the state government to provide relief materials to the victims. Now, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, said the federal government would collaborate with the state government to ensure that the out-of-school children are returned to the schools, while parents will be empowered.
So I'm here in Niger, and in particular, I'm at Shiroro, and I'm with the wife of the governor of Niger State. And I'm actually here on the request of the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to ensure that we understand fully the humanitarian situation in Niger State and the level of poverty and what we can do in the immediate short-term, medium-term, and long-term to really provide the right humanitarian response.
Now, still talking education, some parents in Gombe State are experiencing difficulty in meeting financial obligations for the education of their children and wards as schools reopen for a new academic session. Now, the difficulty has been linked to the current economic climate in the country as millions of Nigerians struggle with the harsh living condition occasioned by fuel subsidy removal, which has triggered record high inflation in the country. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail met with a civil servant who has been forced by the situation to withdraw his children from a private school due to the increased school fees in the state.
Hassan Buba is a civil servant in his 50s and he caters for a family of 10. Like most Nigerians, the Gombe resident is feeling the impact of high cost of living since the removal of fuel subsidy in May this year. He pays school fees for 7 of his children. One of them is in university.
Many children that I'm paying them school fees at the private school before, due to the removal of subsidy. The country enter a critical condition that no way to pay that amount before.
On a quarterly basis, Buba spends at least 70,000 naira to settle school fees of the children in private school, which according to him is not sustainable, forcing him to transfer them to a public school, which he said is cost effective.
Anything has been increased. Most of the commodity have been increased. I returned them to the government school.
The father of 8, who raised concern on the economic consequences posed by high fuel prices, urged government to support parents in sponsoring of children's education. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Now, the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Uche Inaji, and his party, challenging the return of Peter Mbah of the People's Democratic Party as winner of the gubernatorial election in the state. Delivering his judgment, Justice Tijani Abubakar held that the legal team of the APC and Inaji filed invalid brief of argument and failed to convince the court with cogent reasons why the appellant's incompetent brief should be allowed. Justice Abubakar further held that since their brief was found to be invalid, the invalidity also affects the appeal in respect of which the appeal was filed. He proceeded to dismiss the brief and the appeal filed by Naji and the APC. Now, the National and State House of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Benin has affirmed the election of Neda Emasheung as senator representing Edo South in the National Assembly. The candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Matthew Udori Yekenweng and his party had challenged the victory of the Labour Party senator in the February 25th National Assembly election. The petitioners had approached the tribunal seeking to nullify Emasheung's victory on 4 grounds. Now, the grounds specifically included alleged non-qualification, overvoting, corrupt practices, and non-compliance with the Electoral Act by the Independent National Electoral Commission and the nomination of the first respondent by the Labour Party. Now, the 3-member panel led by Justice Yusuf Muhammad, however, dismissed the petition for lacking in merit and being incompetent. Justice Muhammad, who read the over 3 hours judgment, says the petitioners failed to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Emasheung was not qualified to participate in the election. The tribunal held that the allegations of non-qualification, party nomination or sponsorship for any election were pre-election matters that could only be entertained by a federal high court. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead after the break. Maiduguri residents now enjoying subsidized public transport as new buses begin operations. Details of this and many more stories coming up ahead after the break.
Sounds like you're disappointed with the current lot.
We are outside, me and you, regardless. we could have done better.
That you don't have to sacrifice your conviction. We cannot settle for what is bad.
I sacked a governor because of misappropriating 300,000 naira.
The clamor by the SCSC was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Savannah. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigeria in 96, so look, count me out.
What you call goal, aims and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract.
Removing the assumptions, the foundations of their theories, and at the end of it, each and every one of them seems to surprised.
I was posted to Guachuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you.
Welcome back to the news. Thank you very much for staying with us. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. President Tinubu has nominated Dr. Olayemi Michael as new CBN governor alongside 4 deputy governors. Power outage looms as fire outbreak guts TCN office in Kebbi State. Now, the embattled chairman of the Kano Civil Society Forum, Ibrahim Waya, says he is pushing back on an attempt by some members of the forum to remove him from office, calling the attempt mischievous, seeking to divide the movement in the state. Now, a faction of the forum had argued that the chairman and executive members of the forum have overstayed their welcome, saying there's a need for fresh election.
Now, what I did for the forum, the history of the forum cannot be written without my name. Yes. Where your name is going to be sounded like the sound of the rain when there is so much cloud. We held a Congress meeting, a Zoom Congress meeting, online meeting. We publicly, during the meeting, myself and my secretary, Fita Hassan, told all the members that Waya and Fita are not interested in contesting elections.
What you need to understand is that we like Ibrahim Waya. He's a good friend. I'm older than him. Okay. Both in civil society and by age. In civil society and by age. But what we have been telling him is that let's democratize KCSF. That's a simple word. Yeah. But he is not ready to listen. And let me say it. If he's not ready to listen in a soft way, this is the beginning.
Now, ginger farmers in 4 local government areas across Kaduna State are counting their losses following an outbreak of a disease that has ravaged their crops in the areas. Now, the disease broke out in the early July this year in farming communities across Kachia, Jaba, Kagarko and Jama local government areas of the state, where ginger is cultivated in large quantities. Trust TV's Ado Musa visited some of the affected communities and filed in this report.
This is Gidamana village under Kachia local government area of Kaduna State, one of the communities that have suffered in ginger farming this year. A lot of farmers in the community and other surrounding communities have lost millions of naira following the outbreak of fungal disease in the area. Let us hear how it happened and how it has affected them.
At the beginning, we began to see the leaf drying and becoming yellowish. We didn't understand the problem. We applied different pesticides to kill the disease, but we couldn't succeed. It was a strange experience because this is the first time we are experiencing the problem in our areas. For decades, no disease has ever destroyed our crops at this magnitude. I lost over 30 million naira to the disease. We can't explain why the disease affected the crop. We have never seen it in our life. The crops just turned yellowish. At some point, we thought the crop was demanding fertilizer, which we applied but didn't succeed. Ginger farming is what we depend on. It is our main source of income. I can't quantify the degree of damage this disease has inflicted on us, but millions of naira were lost. We just woke up and saw the disease destroying our crops. We are really in trouble because we depend on it for years. Now that it has dried, we don't know what to do. The farmers, however, say unless government intervenes, they will be out of the business. We have suffered a lot. Many have lost millions of naira, and some have even died because of frustration. We are calling on state and federal government to assist us because some of us collected loans to invest in the farming. This is our main source of income and has been lost. We want government at all levels to help us with all kinds of assistance to be able to cushion the effect of the disease. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the Nigerian ginger export has hit 10 billion naira in the second quarter, indicating 17% improvement compared to 4.6 billion naira in same period of 2022. However, the farmers say the country may not be able to achieve its export target in the next quarter because of the outbreak of the fungal disease in some of the ginger producing areas. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, insecurity and rising inflation continues to threaten Nigeria's national security on food, as the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, says 25 million Nigerians are at high risk of food insecurity. However, the Ministry of Agriculture says it is working with stakeholders across both public and private sector to address the situation. Chamunda Beng reports.
Due to both unavailability and high cost of commodities, many Nigerians cannot afford to eat 3 square meals a day. Many opt to eat just to survive, as Nigeria has about 133 million citizens living in multidimensional poverty. According to a 2019 report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, 82.9 million Nigerians live under $1 a day, amid speculations that the figure may increase by 40 million. Speaking on this issue, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, says the federal government will be keying into 2 focal points bordering on quality and quantity.
They are looking at diet quality, and the other one is looking at the content itself. Because it's one thing you have proteinous food, but what is the quality of that proteinous food? So these 2 components is what they are trying to look at. And of course, it fits into the various indicators of food security. So there are so many other indicators, but they are picking this to be sure that when you see any food, for example, you go to buy fish, Nigerians should be confident that it is fish they are buying.
For the government to properly solve Nigeria's food problems, accurate data collection is heavily needed, as it allows the government to have proper insights into Nigeria's diverse food systems.
The policymaker, especially our government, who have prioritized food and nutrition security, it's a key priority of this government. This is a ready information trove that they can go to see where the opportunities are to address those areas where Nigeria has been assessed to be doing poorly compared to other African countries and also compared to countries across the globe.
The issue is about planning, about knowing what is happening in your own backyard. It's not about the global dashboard. We have to bring it home. Do we know what is happening in our own system, food system? Do we know where the systemic area is for us to actually touch so that we can have a transformative change? So for that, we need data, we need information, and that information needs to be shared across agencies and everybody that is participating in the food system, and that's a lot of people.
The number of Nigerians suffering from food shortage increased by 69.7% between 2019 and 2022, while the prevalence of undernourishment grew by 15.7% between 2020 to 2022. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now to some breaking news from Kano State. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano has relieved the Commissioner for Lands and Physical Planning, Adamu Kibia, and his Special Advisor on Youth and Sports, Yusuf Imam, for making unguarded utterances against justices of the Governorship Election Tribunal in the state and Vice President Kashim Shettima. The governor in a statement says he holds the judiciary and the Vice President in high esteem, and that the statements made by the Commissioner and his Special Advisor do not reflect the official position of Kano State Government. Once again, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has relieved the Commissioner for Lands and Physical Planning, Adamu Kibia, and his Special Advisor on Youth and Sports, Yusuf Imam, for making unguarded utterances against the justices of the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in the state, as well as Vice President Kashim Shettima. To other news now, a part of a building under construction in Asaba, the Delta State capital, has collapsed. Now, the building, still at the first floor stage, caved in, sending some of the pillars down. Workers were still at the construction site when the collapse happened. No casualty was recorded, according to the Commissioner for Urban Renewal, Delta State, Ifeanyi Anoka, who addressed newsmen after the incident.
It's a building defect, and the ministry is still investigating. The government is already taking measures. As you can see here, the compound has been sealed. So until after our investigation, then we'll come up with what happened here. We'll come up with a report. No casualty.
Okay. To Borno State now, where 30 out of the 70 buses recently launched by Governor Babagana Zulum to ease transportation challenges of residents in the state have begun operations in Maiduguri, the state capital. In this report, Adamu Gulde says a cross-section of commuters have expressed satisfaction with the impact of the government intervention.
It could be recalled that the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu implemented the removal of subsidy on petroleum products, thus ruling out palliatives to cushion the effect of citizens. Here in Borno State, Governor Babagana Zulum has introduced various palliative measures to cushion the hardship of people. Among them is the procurement of 70 buses to Borno Express to convey civil servants to their workplaces at a subsidized rate. Speaking to Trust TV, a civil servant, Blessing Jibrin, said since the removal of fuel subsidy, workers have been suffering due to the high cost of transportation, but with the procured buses, the hardship of the people will surely be reduced. We are really happy with this intervention from the state government. We people from Polo to post office, we are paying only 15 naira. Imagine. Also speaking, Ali Umar, a bus driver, and a passenger, Malam Abubakar, both thanked the governor for providing the buses as a subsidized amount of 15 naira only. I am happy with our state government for this palliative support. We pray Almighty Allah reward our leaders at all levels. This government of Borno State really deserves commendation from us. For now, there is no any challenges, only good expectation from us to our leaders. Chairman Nigeria Labour Congress Yusuf Inuwa said they had met with the governor and enumerated some areas that need intervention in order to cushion the hardship of workers in the state. This, the NLC said, led to the procurement of the buses that are currently rendering services to the people. The buses started working across the city of Maiduguri, but up till now, still coming with another measures to ease the hardship. But all we know is that our government doing his best. On his part, General Manager Borno Express Company Grema Zanna Kyari said Borno Express Transport Company was established in 1973, but the administration of Governor Zulum rebranded its present standard and procured vehicles to boost their operations. In the early morning, from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., our buses start their working. We urge the people to understand our aims and provide us first-hand information to achieve our success. The General Manager Borno Express assured that he will not disappoint civil servants in conveying them to places of work and their respective communities, adding that his doors remain open for suggestions toward effective service delivery. From Maiduguri, Adamu Ngulde, Trust TV News.
Now, the phenomenon of political patronage pushing people in Benue State to rely solely on political godfathers has been identified as a major factor undermining the development of youths across the state. An academic and public commentator at the Benue State University, Dr. Terkimbe Adoka, identified unemployment as the push factor responsible for the rising trend across the state.
In Benue State, many youths have adopted this method to woo financial gratification, thereby abandoning legitimate sources of living.
So, at least the first person who started the idea made something out of it. I'm sure the other person too made something out of it, and up to 3 persons made something out of that venture. And so for young people now, it has become another outlet where they can explore to get money with ease without having to commit so much energy. So that is partly why you are seeing all of this. But all of this is linked to the problem of unemployment.
Others blame the trend on idleness as the curse to attain riches without laboring through sustainable ways.
And as they do this, their focus, going to meet whoever they wanted to meet, is a kind of fulfillment to them, fulfillment of their idleness, that at least it has given them joy and they expect some gratification from the persons they meet.
They condemn the trend, expressing worry that the current security situation in the country should be a thing of concern to the youth population in the state.
Why should I be traveling from one point to another in this period of insecurity, hearing about kidnappings and all of that, and then you start that kind of journey that you want to celebrate somebody somewhere. As they travel along, they continue to update their location, Is that not a potential outlet, selling yourself out for kidnapping?
It's not wise, because we have bandit trade, we have all sorts of social vices that are going on that. For them, they may feel it's wise, but as for me, I don't think it's wise enough.
In 2015, when President Muhammadu Buhari won his election, one Dudu Wole walked from Yola to Abuja to celebrate the man he described as his model. This has become a trend for young men in Benue State who are considering SEM as a means for survival. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited has denied allegations that the headquarters of the company was being moved from Abuja to Lagos. The NNPCL Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari said this at an investigative hearing of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee in Abuja. The report.
After Monday's non-appearance of the GCEO of NLPCL, the committee sent another invitation insisting that the exercise is not a witch hunt but an attempt to establish the true positions of things by ensuring that the right things are done. The issues in focus include alleged illegal acquisition of OVH, its assets before and after acquisition, appointment of an expatriate as managing director, alleged movement of headquarters and staff placement. These are all issues based of alleged corruptions and wrongful acquisition of OVH as a commercial national oil company.
It is in the light of the above that the committee has scheduled today's hearing with the hope that the stakeholders concerned will have the opportunity or benefit of shedding light to the discrepancies in respect of the record of assets and other claims relating to the acquisition of OVH Energy.
The speaker represented here speaks on the need for transparency and accountability in line with the Petroleum Industrial Act.
I want to see how much they paid, whether it is the same first rate or market rate or even less than the first rate. We want to see that.
The GCEO of NLPC Limited responded to the necessity and processes of the accusation. Millie Kyari says, prior to the accusation, the company's highest profit was 6.59 billion naira in 2021, but by the first quarter of 2023, a profit of 18.4 billion naira was declared.
We are in control of this market today, Mr. Chairman. We have bought assets. We know clearly what we bought. There's a listing of this asset. It's not what is read in the media that people have petitioned you. We are ready to give you all the entire information immediately after this meeting or subsequently.
The GCEO also says no plan to relocate the company's headquarters from Abuja. The lawmakers, however, disclosed plans to carry out an oversight of the OVH to see its assets and assess its performance before putting together its report to be submitted to the House for further legislative action. In another development, the House of Representatives began investigation to probe illegal auction of government properties. The agencies involved have been accused of illegal auction of some properties owned by the federal government.
There is a total commitment to ensuring that we all join hands, executive and other branches of government, to reposition, refocus, and rebuild this country.
The agencies involved were all asked to report to the parliamentary next week unfailingly.
Now, in other news, a national carrier from Rwanda, Rwanda Air, has been making significant strides in the aviation industry in Nigeria and has garnered a favorable rating across the country. The airline connects many countries through its international flights operation. Habibat Ajayi tells us more.
In recent years, the Rwanda airline has expanded its routes and services, connecting Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, to major Nigerian cities like Lagos and Abuja. As Rwanda Air continues to strengthen its presence in Nigeria, its high rating reflects the growing trust and preference of Nigerian travelers for the airline. Despite the various challenges, including economic turbulence, political instability, and unforeseen global events like pandemics, Rwanda Airline pledged its commitment to Nigerians.
Well, it's actually over 10 years now because we commenced operations to Nigeria in 2010-2011. So it's been a good experience. I mean, Nigeria is a big market, if not the biggest in Africa. So every airline is looking to operate to and from Nigeria, and it's been nothing but positive, except for the slump during the pandemic. But it's been good in all facets of what we're looking for. We're unique based on the fact that we are the national carrier of Rwanda. So based on the fact that this is a Rwandan airline, that makes us unique already. Because what we're going to serve, what we're going to bring to the table, our service offer, is based on the Rwandese touch, the Rwandese culture to begin with. Of course, we operate within the realm of what all airlines should do, or at least all national carriers should be doing. But what is unique to us is, again, It's a Rwandese touch. You had the minister making reference to that and saying that some of these things are going to change in time. So one of our takeaways from that event is that it's a renewed commitment that we see from government. In fact, I was very delighted when he gave us some KPIs as its own agenda, and he said he was going to work on that. So we are proud. We are very happy with what we have seen.
Rwand Airline reiterates its commitment to Nigeria as they seek optimal support from the industry players.
We understand there are quite challenges that, of course, we all face in business, but what Rwanda is trying to do, and that what we do on a daily basis, is to continue to enhance our product, improve customer experience. So on our part, we are playing our part to ensure that we give you the best that the airline can offer, and for the Nigeria market, we're telling you to please continue supporting us for us to grow.
The symbiotic relationship between airlines and nations underscores the importance of nurturing cooperation for mutual benefits. Abibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now let's get some more business updates and join Chiamaka Nwafor for the latest.
Nigeria's annual inflation rate rose to 25.08% in August from 24.08% in the previous month of July. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, disclosed this on Friday, adding that the August 2023 headline inflation rate shows an increase of 1.72 percentage points when compared to the July 2023 headline inflation rate. The report from the Bureau further says on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 5.27% points higher compared to the record recorded in August 2022, which was 20.52%. According to the report, the food inflation rate in August rose to 29.34% on a year-on-year basis, which was 6.22% points higher compared to the rate recorded in August of 2022, which was 23.12%. Inflation has remained high in Africa's largest economy, prompting the central bank to hike interest rates to their highest levels in nearly 2 decades. Still on inflation, the National Bureau of Statistics says prices of food items such as beef, tomatoes, beans, and yams witnessed increases in July. It made a declaration in its Selected Food Prices Watch report for July 2023 issued in Abuja on Friday. Now, the report stated that the average price of 1 kilogram of boneless beef increased by 30.17% from 2,118 naira 84 kobo recorded in July 2022 to 2,758 naira 13 kobo in July of 2023, while the average price of 1 kg of tomato on a year-on-year basis rose by 24.88% from 446 naira 81 kobo in July 2022 to 557 naira 96 kobo in July of 2023. Similarly, the report stated that the average price of 1 kilogram of brown beets increased by 19.73% on a year-on-year basis. The NBS also said the average price of 1 kilogram of onion bulb rose by 26.65% on a year-on-year basis from 396 naira 96 kobo in July of 2022 to 502 naira 73 kobo of July in 2023. Meanwhile, the average price of 1 kilogram yam tuber increased by 38.40% on a year-on-year basis from 389 naira 75 kobo to 539 naira 41 kobo in July of 2023. Also, the average price of 1 litre of palm oil increased by 35.70% on a year-on-year basis from 819 naira 67 kobo in July of 2022 to 1,208 naira 62 kobo in July of 2023. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafor.
Right, now let's bring you up to speed with developments on the international scene, and we start in Libya as the Red Crescent says death toll in Libya's coastal city of Daraa has soared to 11,300 as search efforts continue following a massive flooding fed by the breaching of 2 dams followed by heavy rains. Now, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies in Libya say another 10,100 persons are reported missing in the Mediterranean city. The mayor of Daraa, Abdelnoim Al-Gaiti says the tally could rise as high as 20,000 given the number of neighborhoods that have been washed out by the floods. The storm also killed about 170 people in other cities of eastern Libya, including the towns of Bedia, Susa Razaz, and Marj, according to Health Minister Othman Abdul Jalil. Emergency workers sifting through the mud and rubble remain hopeful of finding more survivors. Now let's take a look at developments in sports. The Premier League club Everton are set to have new owners after Farhad Moshiri agreed to sell his 94% stake to American investment fund 777 Partners. The takeover would bring to an end the tumultuous tenure of British-Iranian Moshiri, who first invested in Everton back in 2016. The sale is expected to be completed by the end of 2023, subject to Premier League, the Football Association and Financial Conduct Authority approval. The takeover would mean half of the top 20 flight clubs are American-owned in the English Premier League. Everton lie 18th in the Premier League after picking up just 1 point from their opening 4 games this season. They have endured disarray on and off the pitch, narrowly escaping relegation in the past 2 seasons, including staying up with victory on the final day of last season. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and company. Good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.